She had me pinned before I even finished my sentence about how the jungle probably didn't have anything dangerous. Something massive blurred through the trees, and the next thing I knew, my spine was kissing a tree trunk and two enormous hands were holding me in place like I was the universe's wimpiest poster. The air whooshed out of my lungs while she loomed over me, all carved muscle and heavy armor plates that looked like they'd survived meteor strikes. I stared up at her, stunned, mostly because she was breathtaking in a way my brain couldn't immediately process. Broad shoulders, powerful arms, eyes that glowed faintly like embers, and an expression that said she could break a tank and still have energy for dessert. She tilted her head at me, clearly confused by my stunned silence. "Human, why are you staring at my arms?" I tried to play it cool. It didn't work. "They're mesmerizing. Also, could you maybe not pin me to the wall? The tree's soft but my ribs aren't." She froze like she didn't know how to respond. Most captors threaten you or yell. She just looked offended that I complimented her limbs. "Do not mock me. I am ancient. 200 cycles. My arms are thick. My joints are worn. You have no need to flatter an old warrior who's past her prime." My mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. "Ancient? Lady, your arms could bench press my ship." That annoyed her more. She grabbed me by the waist and lifted me off the ground like a stuffed toy. I yelped in a way I'm not proud of. "You are fragile," she said, carrying me deeper into the jungle. "Your bones are tiny. Your skin bruises like fruit." "Okay, first of all," I protested while dangling. "That's rude. Second, maybe set me down? Please? I can walk." She didn't even acknowledge that possibility. She slung me over her shoulder like I was a sack of potatoes she picked up on discount. "You walk too slowly. I have patrols to complete." Every long stride she took bounced me like a bobblehead. Every time I tried to lift my head, I got an impressive view of her massive back and shoulders, flexing effortlessly with each step. Not that I meant to stare, it was just hard not to when your face was practically level with sculpted alien muscle. She noticed. Of course she noticed. "Do humans suffer from neck instability? You are staring at my back." "It's a very strong back," I mumbled. She snorted. "Flattery will not help you. You are a prisoner." "Not flattery. Observation. Scientific assessment. Peer-reviewed appreciation." She actually stumbled a little. Just half a step, but I felt it. "Humans find strong backs attractive?" I cleared my throat, very much aware I might be about to die. Or humiliate myself. Both seemed likely. Yes. I mean, I do. Some of us do. I do. Specifically. Me. Personally." She stopped walking and slowly peeled me off her shoulder to hold me up at eye level. Her glowing eyes narrowed. "Ridiculous. No one finds an ancient warrior appealing. Not anymore." I tried to sit upright, but she still had me suspended like a toy crane machine prize. "What are you talking about? You look like you could crush boulders with your elbows. That is not desirable," she insisted. "On what planet?" She blinked at me. "This one." "Well, on my planet you'd break hearts just by flexing." She didn't know what to do with that. Her cheeks, if they were cheeks, darkened slightly. For the first time, she set me down, though she kept a firm grip on my arm as if I might sprint away. Spoiler, I wouldn't. Watching her attempt to process a compliment was too fascinating. "You should not say such things," she muttered. "Why not?" "Because you are a prisoner. And prisoners should not flirt with their captors." "Who's flirting?" "You are staring. Look, if I'm tied to a tree by a warrior built like a divine statue, staring is all I can do." She made a deep sound in her throat. Was it a growl? A flustered purr? Hard to tell. "Enough. My squad awaits." Her grip tightened and she practically dragged me into a clearing where a group of armored aliens stood waiting. They all looked at her, then at me, then at her again. And then they grinned. Wickedly. One of them whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Chief found a tiny admirer. She snarled at them, baring teeth. They scattered like startled birds. I was tied to a post, gently, surprisingly gently, while she pretended she didn't notice me watching her every move. She kept adjusting her gauntlets, shifting her stance, and glancing my way when she thought I wasn't looking. Every time our eyes met, she looked away with a strange mix of irritation and embarrassment. Her squad kept whispering things like, "He's staring again," and, "Chief, he likes your arms." She growled at them. They laughed. I tried not to. Failed. By the time camp settled, she stood guard near me, arms crossed, chin raised, pretending she was unaffected. But every so often, her gaze drifted to me with a question in her eyes she wasn't ready to say out loud. And every time she caught me looking at her, she flushed again. For someone who called herself ancient, she had no idea how stunning she really was. She paced in front of me like she was rehearsing for an intimidation contest, heavy boots thudding against the ground with every step. I was still tied, though honestly, at this point, more out of her stubbornness than any real need. She could have blinked and I'd sit still. She could have glared and I'd behave. She could have flexed and I'd probably faint in appreciation. But she didn't need to know that. She finally stopped and planted her hands on her hips. "Human. Focus." "I'm trying," I said honestly. "But your posture is very distracting." She blinked slowly. "Posture?" "Yes. Tall. Regal. Strong. Extremely sculpted." She made the strangest noise, somewhere between a cough and a choke, and turned her head sharply away, like she could physically deflect the compliment. "You are not here to evaluate my posture. You are here to answer questions." I smiled a little. "You can ask anything." "Do not say it like that," she snapped. "You are not volunteering for a date ritual." "I wasn't, but is that an option?" Her head whipped around so fast I heard the air crack. "No!" That yell echoed through the entire camp, followed by distant snickering from her squad mates. One of them shouted, "Chief! Keep your human quiet! He's embarrassing you!" She looked like she wanted to hurl a spear through someone's skull. "Silence!" Another voice called back. "He called you sculpted again!" Her entire back stiffened. She turned to me with a glare so sharp it could have cut metal. "Stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you are admiring me." "Should I not?" "Yes." "No." "Yes, stop confusing me." She marched toward me, grabbed the ropes binding my wrists, and yanked me forward so we were only inches apart. Her glowing eyes stared into mine, trying so hard to be intimidating, but all I could think about was how intensely beautiful she looked up close. The heat of her body radiated through her armor. Her breath, steady and controlled, brushed against my skin. She was incredibly close, and even though she was trying to scare me, I felt everything except fear. "Human," she growled. "I am interrogating you." "You're very close," I murmured. She froze. Literally froze. Whole body locked up, jaw tense, eyes widening just a fraction. "That is irrelevant. Distance does not matter. It matters to me." She let go and took a step back so fast she nearly tripped, catching herself with a startled grunt. Her squad burst into outright laughter from behind the tents. "He flustered her again. She's going soft. Our ancient chief has a suitor." She spun around with such fury I swear the temperature in the camp rose 10 degrees. "All of you, out on patrol! Now!" They scattered like cowards who desperately valued their lives. She stood there shaking with anger, or embarrassment, before turning back to me. "I apologize for them," she muttered, rubbing the bridge of her nose. "They are insolent." "They're also right," I said. Her head snapped toward me. "They are not. They said I'm admiring you." She inhaled sharply. "Stop that. I would if it wasn't true." Her shoulders lifted, fell, like she wasn't sure whether to sigh or roar. "You are either lying, or you have strange human taste." "What's strange about thinking a powerful warrior is attractive?" She hesitated. Actually hesitated. On my world, youth is valued above all. Strength, experience, battle scars, they are signs of age. They are signs that one is no longer desirable. The way her voice softened hit me in the chest. She wasn't just annoyed or flustered, she genuinely believed she was past her prime. My expression must have changed, because she looked away quickly, trying to mask it with her warrior stoicism. No one has looked at me like that in many cycles, she said quietly. Not since I was younger. I swallowed. Hard. Because the idea that anyone would overlook her now was ridiculous. Then they were blind. She turned her head back slowly, uncertainty clouding her glowing eyes. You truly think I am appealing? I didn't hesitate. Yes. Very. Her nostrils flared. Her chest rose just a little faster. She stared at me as though waiting for the punchline, waiting for me to laugh or mock her, but I didn't. I just held her gaze. She leaned in slightly. Human, do not tease. I'm not teasing. You are tied to a post, she said, her voice low. You are at my mercy. It is not wise to. I'm not saying it because I want mercy, I interrupted. I'm saying it because it's true. She went utterly still. Her squad, who apparently had not actually gone on patrol despite being ordered, peeked out from behind a tent flap. One of them stage whispered, Chief, your human just confessed. Another chimed in. He's smitten. A third added, Look at her face, she's melting. She spun and roared. If you do not leave this instant, I will turn you into training dummies. They vanished. She turned back to me, cheeks flushed a deeper shade. She crossed her arms under her chest, trying to regain control. Humans are so forward. Only when inspired. She blushed harder. Stop that. Can't. She stared at me for a long moment, her expression a storm of confusion, curiosity, and something warmer. Something hopeful. Finally, she stepped closer again, but this time slowly, deliberately, like she wanted to. Human, she said softly, almost shyly. I do not understand you. That's okay, I said with a smile. I understand you just fine. Her eyes flicked away. That is the problem. But she didn't step back. She stayed close. Very close. Close enough that her presence warmed the air around me, close enough that her breath brushed my skin again, close enough that every part of me was acutely aware of her strength, and her uncertainty, and her beauty. And for the first time, she didn't seem like a warrior ready to overpower me. She seemed like someone afraid of being wanted again, and surprised that she actually was. She stood there staring at me like she was trying to decode some ancient scroll written in a language she didn't trust. Then, without warning, she reached forward and loosened the ropes binding my wrists. Not all the way, just enough so I could move my hands, but not enough that I could actually run. As if I would. If she let me go completely, I'd probably just trail behind her like a puppy, pretending I knew where I was going. I need to examine you, she announced, arms crossing with authority. I blinked. Examine? Yes. Physically. My brain immediately panicked and celebrated at the same time. Okay, but define examine. She frowned, misunderstood my tone, and stepped close enough that her shadow swallowed me whole. I must determine your durability. Human bones look fragile. Some of us are built, I argued weakly. I do push-ups. She stared at my arms. Stared harder. Then gently poked one like she was testing the ripeness of a fruit. Soft. I nearly died. Soft? Excuse you, this is premium softness. Her large hands hovered, then wrapped around my forearm. Her touch was surprisingly gentle, warm, almost hesitant. She turned my arm this way and that, analyzing me like I was a weapon she wasn't sure would explode or break. The closeness made my pulse kick into overdrive. She seemed oblivious to the effect she was having, for about 10 seconds. Then I felt her stiffen slightly. Your pulse is elevated, she said slowly. You're touching my arm. I whispered back, as if that explained everything. She paused. Is that significant? For humans? Yes. Very. She didn't let go, but her grip shifted, more deliberate, like she was testing something. Her fingers slid down to my wrist. She made a thoughtful sound that vibrated through my bones. Your size is strange. How does someone so small function? I usually don't get manhandled by giant warrior women, I offered. That throws off my equilibrium. She didn't even react to the joke. Instead, she poked my chest next. And this part is soft too. That's my heart, I said. She leaned in with sudden intensity. Your vital center is exposed? That is highly inefficient. I didn't design myself. Talk to evolution. But her focus shifted again. This time she grabbed both my shoulders and pulled me closer to check something behind me. I wasn't sure what exactly she was searching for, but it certainly wasn't helping my composure. She spun me around effortlessly, inspecting my back. Then, without warning, she lifted me. Lifted me. As in, grabbed me by the waist and hoisted me into the air like I weighed nothing at all. I yelped, again, not proud. She held me up at arm's length, studying me. Humans are strangely light. I prefer the term efficiently portable, I squeaked. Her eyes flickered with something like amusement. Then she lowered me, but not all the way. Instead, she ended up holding me awkwardly against her chest because she misjudged my center of gravity. My hands automatically grabbed her shoulders to avoid falling. Her armor was warm under my palms, radiating heat from her body. For a moment neither of us moved. Her breath ghosted over my cheek. Her muscles tensed beneath my hands. And the air between us shifted, charged, heated, something neither of us was ready to name. She slowly lowered me fully to the ground, but her hands didn't leave my waist right away. She cleared her throat, stepping back. You are stable enough. That was the most intimate stability test I've ever experienced, I muttered. She looked bewildered. Intimate? Before I could explain, her squad returned in the most inconvenient way possible, loud, dramatic, and absolutely starving for gossip. One of them immediately snickered. Oh look, the soldier said, elbowing another. Chief is cuddling her human. We are not cuddling, she barked, snatching her hands away as if they were on fire. The squad erupted in laughter. She aimed a spear at them. They dodged. Barely. Resume your patrols, she ordered through clenched teeth. We are patrolling, one argued. We're patrolling your love life. She growled like a starship reactor about to overload. They scattered again. Once they were gone, she exhaled a long, strained breath, then turned to me in a softer tone. My reputation will not survive this. Why? Because someone likes you? She flinched slightly. Because you look at me as though I am not old. You're not old. You're experienced. She blinked at me. Experienced? Yeah. That's attractive. Her eyes widened, a tiny spark breaking through her armor of doubt. Attractive? Yes. She stared at me like the word was a weapon she didn't know how to handle. Then she asked, voice quiet, why? That question hit me right in the chest. For the first time, her gaze wasn't fierce or commanding. It was vulnerable, hesitant, hopeful. Because you're strong, I said. And kind. And you carry me like a heroic action figure. She looked confused at the compliment but didn't interrupt. And because I studied your people before coming here. I know about you. Your battles. Your victories. Your leadership. You're a legend. She stiffened. My history is irrelevant. Not to me. Her face changed, just subtly, but unmistakably. Something softened in her eyes. Something warm flickered there, something like pride mixed with disbelief. She drew closer again, slower than before, deliberate. No one has spoken of my victories for many cycles, she said quietly. Not with admiration. How could they not? She looked down at me, studying every part of my expression like she was searching for any sign of dishonesty. Finding none, she stepped even closer. "Human," she began. "Yes? You are very confusing." I smiled. "You'd get used to me." She hesitated, then gave a small, embarrassed rumble in her chest that I suspected was a laugh. Only then did she reach out, very gently, and place her palm against my chest, right over my heart. "It beats fast," she murmured. "That's your fault." She pulled her hand back so fast you'd think she touched fire, staring at her own palm like my heartbeat had imprinted itself there. And honestly, maybe it had. Because she didn't step away this time. She stayed close. Close enough that her warmth pressed into the air around me. Close enough that her presence wrapped around me like armor. Close enough that every inch between us buzzed with tension neither of us knew how to break. But neither of us wanted to. She stared at me for a long stretch of silence, her glowing eyes flickering like she was wrestling herself more than anything around her. Finally, she reached forward and began untying the last of the rope. Her movements were careful, almost too careful for someone who could snap the bindings like dental floss. When the knot came loose, my wrists fell free, but she still held on to them as if she were unsure of what would happen next. "You are no longer restrained," she said stiffly. "I notice," I replied, rubbing my wrist gently. "Thanks. You may leave," she continued, stepping back half a pace. "My squad will escort you to the forest boundary." I didn't move. She frowned. "Human. You are free." "Right," I said. "I heard you. Then why are you still here?" Because leaving felt wrong. Because every instinct in my body said I wasn't done with her, and she wasn't done with me. Because she had just looked at me like I was something incredible. Because there was something in her voice, something hesitant and soft beneath all that armor, that made me want to stay. I took a slow step toward her. "I don't want to go." Her entire body locked up. "What?" I said. "I don't want to leave." She stared at me like I had announced gravity was optional. "Human, that is irrational. My camp is dangerous. My squad is insufferable. I nearly crushed your ribs earlier. And you apologized," I said gently. "Which was very considerate, by the way." Her eyes widened slightly at that. "You are impossible to understand. You should want distance." "Why?" I asked. "Because you're strong? Because you're older? Because you think you're not desirable?" She didn't answer, but the tension in her shoulders told me everything. I took another step, close enough now to feel the heat rolling off her skin through the armor. "I like you," I said simply. She stumbled back 2 steps so fast it looked like she'd been shoved. "Do not say that. It's true." She brought both hands up defensively, palms out, as though my words were physical projectiles. "No. Humans do not like ancient warriors. This one does." She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You are confused. You are disoriented. Perhaps you struck your head when I pinned you to the wall." "No," I said firmly. "I remember every detail of that very vividly." Her cheeks darkened in a flash. "That is not a detail one should remember fondly." "I didn't say fondly," I replied, grinning. "Just vividly." She looked like she wanted to sink into the ground. "Human, please stop saying things that make my temperature fluctuate unpredictably. That sounds like a personal problem." She growled, actually growled, stepping forward. "You are insufferable. But you like me." "I do not." She lunged forward in pure panic, grabbing me by the front of my shirt and pinning me against a support beam before I could finish the sentence. Her strength caged me in instantly. But her eyes, those glowing eyes, held something far from anger. They were wide, startled, almost pleading. "Human," she said, voice low and trembling. "Do not speak things you cannot take back." "I'm not taking anything back." Her grip tightened. Her breath hitched. She stared into my face like she was analyzing every molecule. And then she said something so quietly I barely heard it. "I want you to stay." My pulse jumped. "Then just say so." She swallowed hard. I cannot. Why not? Because once I say it, she whispered, I cannot unsay it. Something soft unfurled in my chest. I reached up, hands brushing her wrists gently, not to break free, but to reassure. Her fingers loosened immediately, unsure and trembling. You don't need to say anything, I murmured. Just let me show you something. She froze. Show me? A human gesture. Her brows furrowed with suspicion and curiosity. Slowly she nodded. I leaned in, slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, and pressed a gentle kiss to the side of her face, near where her jawline met the curve of her cheek. Her skin was warm, smooth, and she went rigid as stone. Completely, utterly rigid. Her breath caught on a sharp inhale. What was that? A kiss. Her voice dropped to a shocked whisper. That is a human sign of affection. Yep. She touched the spot I kissed like it was a burn mark. Then she stared at her own fingertips, stunned. My heart is malfunctioning. It's not malfunctioning, I said, fighting a smile. It's reacting. Reacting? She echoed, dazed. Yes. She stared at me, motionless, for a long moment. Then, very slowly, she reached out and placed a large hand on my chest again, right over my heart. She felt the rapid rhythm and let out a shaky breath. Your heart is also reacting, she murmured. It's reacting to you. She made a small, choked sound, and then suddenly pulled me forward with one strong arm, holding me tightly against her chest. Not crushing or restraining, just holding. Protective. Close. Warm. My face was pressed into her collarbone. Her breath stuttered. And then she whispered, not to me but into the air. I do not want you to leave. Before I could respond, a loud, unanimous cheer erupted from behind us. The chief has a human boyfriend! She practically threw me behind her and spun around, roaring so fiercely half the squad tripped over themselves trying to flee. She hurled a spear, intentionally wide but close enough to give them a lesson. They vanished into the trees with terrified laughter. When she turned back, her face was flushed so deeply it nearly glowed. She cleared her throat awkwardly. You must stay, she said stiffly. For safety. Obviously. The jungle is dangerous. And you are fragile. I smiled slowly. Right. For safety. She crossed her arms, trying to look imposing. Do not misunderstand. Too late. She sputtered, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me toward her tent with a muttered, Humans are infuriating. But her grip was gentle. And she didn't let go.